Hey there, paper geeks and glitter nerds. It's Anita, the crazy geek crafter, with part 2 of my sushi cards. Sorry for the sigh. It's a bit early in the morning. I just drove my friend to the airport. Being unemployed, I can take time out of my night to do that. I just wanted to get this voiceover done before going back to bed. Since I have 2 videos this time, I need even more render time. And this was a quiet time of day, of course, or night or morning, because no one's up yet. Except for Jana. She just came down to say hi when I came in the door, and then she left. So I cut everything out as per usual. I'll hide the white core of the paper with a memento marker per usual. And I think I'll just leave you to enjoy that and return later. This here is a piece of pattern paper from another project. It's made with a digital download, and I'll link the video where I originally used it in the corner. It will not make it onto this card. Now comes the tricky part, making the card. I had this idea of the sushi floating on the side of the card, but let's just start out with the card base so I can see what that looks like. The background of this card gave me a lot of trouble, but this was the main idea I had. The sushi cards are for my stock box. I have a lot of friends and family who loves sushi, so these will be so very useful for future birthdays and things. I had an idea of making like a sunburst with chopsticks, So I'm trying to get the stick to be straight because it's a polymer stamp. It can actually bend, and in this instance, it would be preferable for a straight sushi stick. I use Gummiapan's white paper for everything. And every time you see me use white paper in this video, that's the paper I'm using. And I got some basic dies here, just to be able to see how much space I have. And I'll need it in a moment to cut anyway. I'll be using brown ink for this, but in hindsight I wish I hadn't, because these look like needles. Very big needles, but needles nonetheless. And not pointy ones. You can actually get, if you don't know, you can get needles with no points. It's mostly for cross stitching and things like that. Yeah, it didn't really look as great as I had hoped, and maybe if I'd colored in the chopsticks it would have been better, but then again it was a dye ink and I didn't have the brain capacity to figure out whether or not I could color it in with one or the other medium, so this was a bit in vain, but I prefer to keep the entire process of a card in my video. Just so you know, you're not alone when you do something on a card and it doesn't work out. But you should try it, because maybe it would have worked out and it would have been great. I'm still trying to make this idea with the chopsticks work. Trying out some vellum and yeah, it's not going well. It's white and it's boring, so I'm bringing in this red. There's tendency for red decor at sushi restaurants. I do love the black and red theme, but some of the more modern restaurants, of course, are leaving the cliche behind. But this dark brick cardstock was perfect in color. Unfortunately, I don't know the brand and I don't know where I got it or when. So it's just, you know, unknown brand cardstock, per usual. I have these bags of cardstock. I've color coded them. But that's all I've done to them because I can't keep track. Some of the papers I've had for years and years. We're talking 30 more than 20 years. So the red is working for me, but it's not perfect. So I'm going to see what I can do with this scrap of red, which is the same color as the one I just cut off. It's the only scrap I have of this color, so it has to work out. And I'm still in this, with this idea of the sunburst. I'm a bit nervous cutting this up actually, because I am uncertain whether or not this will work and look great, or look really, really, really dumb. And I'm eyeballing this. It doesn't have to be perfect because the sushi is going to cover up the vantage point anyway. I like the rectangles, but they're a bit circus-like to me. I thought maybe if I mixed in that black accent, a black background would help ground it a bit, and not expect some juggler to come out the side of the car or something. I couldn't really get rid of the circus vibe, I have to say, but I tried. And I do think the black background helps, but it would still have worked for a circus card. So there's that. I'm still finding the card very plain, and I have a hard time focusing the sushi. Here I'm trying out the horizontal or vertical approach, but it doesn't work for me either. So I figured I would crumble up this piece of vellum to look like the sushi had been packed in it or something. When I was doing it, I was actually thinking about rice cookies or chips or whatever you call them. If I could make it look like that, but that wasn't what happened. But the distressing of the vellum did help some, and the fact that I rounded it out instead of it being square was also helpful. I'm just making a cluster so it's easier to glue to the card of my elements here. And then I'm going to need some foam tape to get some dimension. That will also help the vellum to hide the background a bit more, so that the sushi is more in focus. Overnight or in the evening and so on, I have been wondering and trying to figure out what to put on these cards for sentiments, and I came up with nothing. I really wanted something with a good pun. I love the humor of puns, but I wanted it in Danish. That, or I wanted to write congratulations in Japanese, and unfortunately I have no idea what that is called. I could Google it, but I would have no idea whether or not it was a congratulation you would use for an exam or a birthday or a wedding. I have that, so to say, insight into to linguistics, that I know where I should not just trust Google to help me. I could, of course, write congratulations on your birthday into Google Translate, but I still don't trust it to know the difference, if there is a difference in this language. So I decided to put in these blossoms. They're from a previous card. I had some leftovers and they kind of look like cherry blossoms. I wanted to soften it up and put something in behind the sushi. And that's going to be it for the card because, like I said, I don't know what sentiment is going on this. I'm still working on the punny sentiments, and I have enlisted friends and other crafters in the project. The other crafters are not as eager as I had hoped to help me out here. I wanted actually a list of good puns in Danish for any kind of subject. This was the current project I was working on, so I used it as an example. I did get some, but none that I thought fit with this particular card design. So for now, they're going to be without sentiments. I can always add congratulations later on, maybe the name of the recipient, or I could write that it's a gift certificate. And in that way, it may be a lucky thing that I didn't put any text on it. I can do whatever I want later on when I know what I need this card for. So, yeah. A few highlights. The highlight on the wasabi was not successful, but most of the other highlights worked out. Since I'd used the pen on the tuna, I didn't want to obscure from it, so I didn't put a highlight on that one, but I maybe should have. But those are the cards for this week. I hope you enjoyed them, and that you'll be back on Wednesday for live, or next Saturday for another video. Until then, I hope you'll be having a good day, evening, or night.